What's going on, guys? Welcome. XQ420 presents. I'm here with my main man, Corey Hughes. What's going on, Corey?
What's up, everybody?
All right, so what we're going to be going over right here, the first two episodes of She-Hulk. Marvel, isn't Marvel like the only thing that's going on right now? Everything else is like, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess you had Top Gun.
So, and as far as comics, and I've never been a diehard comic guy. I mean, I've watched all the movies, of course. I tried to get into comic collecting over the years, and I still have a box of comics that's got a couple hundred in there. But, I'm definitely not a comic collector. But I like to know what's going on in the universe, right? I think in my collection I have all 52 of the New 52 from DC, first print issues #1. So I have a complete collection there. I got all the original Blade comics. What else do I have? I'm missing one or two, but those they're not really that rare. And then I got a bunch of miscellaneous crap. I think I got some of the Star Wars comics, which are kind of garbage. And but yeah, I always wanted to be a comic book guy. Right? I always wanted to be able to be like, oh, it's exciting. I get a new comic this month and I can read it and I'll know I'll be on the cutting edge of comic universe land, right? And honestly, I just never could be bothered. So
Right. Yeah. So the way this channel is going to be formulated, we're going to be attacking this. A lot of channels attack with Easter eggs and, going straight back to the comics. We're skipping all that. We're just going right to the nitty gritty, what Marvel's laying before us. Because from what I've seen, people will come out, oh, well, this Easter egg is going to lead to this. And then people end up being disappointed. That's what I've seen. There's a whole lot of disappointment that ends up happening because they want stuff to happen from the comics, but it's just a little bit too far out there to be bringing to the actual big screen. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive into She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Episode 1, okay? Episode 1, A Normal Amount of Rage. Now, of course, the episode starts with some mansplaining, okay? Jennifer Walters. I mean, that's what it starts out with. Jennifer Walters is up there. She's doing her closing arguments, all right? And then all of a sudden, my main man, what's his name? Well, I believe his name was Dennis. He comes in and he tries to give her a breakdown of how she needs to approach the closing argument. So it already started with some mansplaining there.
Right,
so I already see that it's got maybe a little bit of sexist feminism undertones. What do you think, Corey?
Yes. I think the very fact that there is a She-Hulk at all is indicative of a feminist debacle in front of us. So
yeah, most definitely. Now, I want to know what do you think about breaking the fourth wall? I thought that was kind of reserved for Deadpool.
Fourth wall.
Was it fourth wall in there, right?
Where
she speaks directly to the camera, or is that fifth wall? Eighth
wall. I'm not hip on those terms, but
yeah. So that's what they technically call it, breaking the fourth wall, where all of a sudden she starts speaking to the viewers. So I thought that was reserved for Deadpool. That's what he did. That's what I've seen people said that he did in the comics.
Oh, yes, he
break
did.
that particular fourth wall.
Yeah, and he did it in the movies, too.
Yeah, exactly. It just seemed kind of the fall flat with her.
Well, obviously, if a man can do it, she can do it, too.
You got a good point. All right.
Yep.
So I'm not going to take that point away from you. So we transition from that. Of course, she's speaking to the audience. She's talking about, okay, I know y'all want to know how I became She-Hulk. All right. So it gives us that breakdown. Her with Bruce Banner. All right. The original Hulk, the Hulk. And then, of course, they get in the car accident. Sicarian ship pops up in front of them, which is just kind of random. Just that the ship pops up in front of them. They crash. And, of course, some of Ruffalo's or Bruce Banner's blood mixes with Jennifer Walters, and she just instantly becomes a She-Hulk.
Right.
So do we think that was a good transformation? Do we like the transition of that? I mean, I don't know.
No, and I'll tell you what. I feel like they're rushing things, especially that first episode. They just drilled everything they needed to do into like 30 minutes, and we're done with it. When if they really wanted a show that was halfway decent, they would stretch it out. I mean, I don't think I could tolerate an hour of She-Hulk at a time, but there should have been some build up, some storyline, at least some character builds, right? Like show what kind of relationship she actually has with the Hulk, right?
Yeah, right.
And then there were some other things. This I know is a really small nitpick, but I didn't like how he just spilled his blood on her and she turned into a Hulk. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
Now, it was pointed out to me that in the movies with Ed Norton, when he gets a drop of blood in the factory, like he went out to, he had to go try to fix it so the blood wouldn't get into like whatever. I forget. I haven't watched that movie in years, but he had to fix that and get rid of that blood. But it ended up like didn't Stan Lee end up getting killed from it or something like that? I don't even remember. I'm gonna have to watch that movie again. But the point was made to me that the blood is that toxic, where a drop can screw you up. Right. So I didn't think of that. But however, still they rushed it. I feel what should have happened in that scene, they get in a crash, they're both lying there, they get rushed to the hospital, and they're both still knocked out. And then they find they got the same blood type, so they give a transfusion in the hospital, right? And then they wake up and they're like, "Oh my God, what did you do?" That would have been so much better than I just spilled my blood on yourself, and and now you're a Hulk. So
and an immediate transformation at that. That's what called. I was just like, okay, hold on. So spill the blood, immediate transformation. Like it's almost like there wasn't any build up. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like what you said, like that, the whole build up aspect of it, that was completely gone. And so, of course, we transition from that. All right. So we transition from that moment to where she's just wandering off to some bar. Okay. and of course, Bruce, he had the contraption on his arm that would keep him from transforming. So I guess he immediately didn't transform at that moment. But of course, she goes to the bar, and then there's just the random moment where you've got the girls that come in there wanting to put makeup on her, and it went to the whole, well, who beat you up? What your boyfriend is. So it's just, once again, we're getting right back into the feminist type deal. And then, of course, the minute she leaves the bar, now she's looking rough now, okay? She's looking real rough. Her clothes are tattered up. Of course, 3 men are going to want to hit on her when she leaves the bar. I'm just like, come on, man. They had all these other chicks in the bar, but these 3 dudes want to hit on her when she just beat all to hell. You know what I'm saying? Hair messed up, clothes tore up. Yep, that's the one I want to hit on today. I mean, what do you think about that scene? It just, once again, it just goes right back to the whole, okay, well, men are sexist. You know what I'm saying? Men are trying to hit on me. That was that whole premise there. Yep,
that was the whole thing. It's another attempt at making it seem like men are fucking bad, right? So that, how do I say this? That persona that is being projected, I think, is disgustingly unhealthy for our children. If there are children out there watching it, they're going to get a very bad misconception of reality. I mean, a woman turning into a green monster is kind of a poor, a poor representation of that. But still, I think the whole thing goes back to making it seem like men are the devil, which is kind of screwed up because, we built society and all. And so, yeah, it's the whole show has one purpose, and that's to make men look bad.
Right. That's kind of the premise that we're seeing to start off with. Now, we move over. Okay, Bruce knocks her out, takes her to his little hideout that Tony Stark built. Of course, we have moments in there where he keeps referring to Tony Stark, emotional moments, all right, from his death in the Infinity War. And, of course, at that moment, her blood is able to automatically fix Bruce's arm. Because, once he did the snap, his arm was, like, unusable all the way up until that point. So I don't know why he decided to start to use her blood. I guess he was just doing his experiments like, hey, well, hell, let me use her blood. So it's almost, we're already putting a superiority deal with Jennifer Walters right out the gate, that she's already superior to Bruce because she's able to control her transformations and she healed him. So I'm just like, don't we think the original would be superior to everything else? That's all I'm saying.
Yes, everything else would be like a VHS copy of a VHS copy kind of thing. So no, I completely agree. Honestly, I don't like what they've done with the Hulk. The Hulk is,
Oh God,
I mean,
it's
I don't know if we're swearing on this channel or not, but
we're good.
He's a giant pussy, really. Like, I do not like the concept of this half Hulk, the Smart Hulk. Is so fucking dumb that when I watch it, there's a voice in the back of my head going, "Don't you have something better to do, like the dishes or scrubbing the toilet?" Right?
Exactly. Well, it's like they've neutered the Hulk. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Hulk's supposed to be like this ravaging beast that, like, I mean, get out of line and you're gonna get ripped apart. You know what I'm saying? You remember from the because the Edward Norton Hulk is technically part of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
That's technically the first movie of the MCU. Because it came before Iron Man and everything.
Right, and we'll get to the second episode, but they connect they connect to that film in the second episode, which I actually appreciated. I actually thought that was okay, but we'll get to that later.
That was a good thing. But you know, you go back and you look at the Edward Norton. I mean, it's like the military's after him. They shoot a missile at him. I mean, he just grabs it. You know what I'm saying? Midair. So you're like, that's the type of Hulk we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, man, and I'm fine if they were, you know, okay, so we're going to give the Hulk consciousness, but let's not take away his violent aspect. You know what I'm saying? Like, Smart Hulk doesn't even seem like he could beat anybody up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like if the fight breaks out and Smart Hulk's there, he's just more just comedic relief, which I've seen that they've started moving a whole lot of the male characters more towards just comedic relief. Have you noticed that? Like Thor, he's just flat comedic relief.
Yep.
Star-Lord always has some comedy about him.
It seems to be the intentional destruction of the Marvel Universe. You know? Here's the thing. I think that no matter how bad Marvel movies and Marvel TV shows get, people will still watch them just to know what's going on in the canon, right? Or they'll watch just to make fun of it, or for some reason. But unfortunately, they keep putting out these like complete piles of garbage, and people still watch them. People still talk about them. We're talking about it right now, you know. So they unfortunately win because they captured our attention for that long. You know, they captured us for 30 minutes, 60 minutes with both episodes, right? So
right. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you got to think that the storyline up to that point. Up to this is phase 4. So the previous phase, were there stinker movies in there? Of course, there were some stinker movies, but overall, I felt pretty good as far as character development. When they start moving into the TV shows, is where it kind of, I don't know, each show seems like it's a little thin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
like some of them seem thin.
Yeah, and I'll compare these to the Star Wars TV shows. Especially like Obi-Wan, right? I don't want to say it was horrible,
right?
But it was horrible. You know, like it's like I don't know. Like I really did like, even though they're full of flaws. The Boba Fett and the Mandalorian, they're entertainment. But like, there's this thing, and everyone should know about this. There's a thing called suspension of disbelief, right? So when you watch a vampire movie, you have to suspend your disbelief that there are no vampires, right? So for the sake of watching the movie, I'm going to let myself get into this because it's a movie. I am having to ratchet up so high my suspension of disbelief to make it through these crappy shows that it's unfreaking real. It's like, okay, don't notice the fact that it just contradicted what it did on the last movie. Okay, don't pay attention to this. And it's like I have to have tunnel vision when I watch these and forget that anything existed before it. It's rather frustrating. So yeah, I didn't particularly grow up with Marvel as being like a Marvel fanboy or anything like that. So I don't really feel like my childhood's being taken from me in that respect. But I do feel that way about Star Wars, right? We should get to Star Wars in a future episode.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt about that. Now, of course, as we said, they're going through their process of and Hulk. He had a whole book of how to get through this, and of course, Jennifer Walters, her being a badass right out the gate, she can control her transformations on a whim, just immediately transform to the Hulk, and then back to Jennifer Walters immediately.
Well, let's be scientific about it. Let's be scientific about this. The obvious implication here is that somehow her ovaries and her estrogen make her control of the gamma particles in her blood. It makes it easier for her to control the stuff. So that's the way I see it. If I wanted to stick to a kind of, scientific interpretation of it.
Right. And of course they speak about Bruce's blood. Technically it's supposed to be toxic to everybody, but I guess it's in the Banner family to be able to incorporate gamma radiation.
That right there,
DNA.
What you just said, which came from the show, is the dumbest rewriting of history I've ever seen in a movie or TV show. So it was just a hell of a damn coincidence that he got zapped by gamma, and he had the genetics to handle the gamma. Fuck off! Seriously, it's so dumb. I understand you got to plug holes every once in a while, but come on. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Right. So that's the explanation. That's the explanation of why she's still alive. That she's able to process it. It must be something with the Banner physiological setup. So we understand that. And then we go through some moments that were just kind of weird. Them doing yoga, them throwing rocks. She asked the Hulk, was Captain America a virgin? I'm just like, where'd that come from? Is Captain America a virgin?
Well, obviously it had to go to show his sexual inadequacy because he was a man.
Yeah,
I mean, that must be it.
Yeah, but the Hulk said no, he did bang some chick back in the 1940s. Just we appreciate that. I guess in the alternate timeline, he's with Peggy Carter because if you look at the Infinity War Endgame, technically he grows old and has kids with Peggy Carter. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Okay, I mean it's once you start getting into these multiple universes, you ain't even quite sure where you're at.
No, and the whole reason I think they have these multiple universes is so they can write whatever goddamn story they want.
Oh yeah,
No limitations.
There's no limitations at all. Now, of course, once we move past that, of course, Bruce is like, "Hey, you can't just go back to being a lawyer. It ain't just going to work like that." Of course, she goes through her whole process of, how she's been all the things she has to go through in life, like catcalling and stuff like that. Men telling her she got a nice booty or something like that.
Okay, let me stop you right there. As a man, I goddamn wish I would get catcalled by chicks everywhere I went. Sorry.
Exactly.
What are you talking about? You're so oppressed. Jesus fucking Christ.
Get all that attention, but it's not the attention she wants, okay? She wants the attention from a particular man. And that's fine. That's fine, okay? So we go through that process. Then we have the fight. That's what kind of is rounding up episode 1. Of course, they make Bruce. Between no, not the courtroom. The initial fight between Bruce and Jen. That initial fight where Bruce, I guess he was holding back. That's the only thing I can think of. Because I'm like, Bruce is the original Hulk, and he's a man. So he should be able to overpower Jennifer, no problem.
You got to crank up the suspension of disbelief at those moments. Just crank it up. Put it on 10.
It's just like, okay. So she ends up going back to the courtroom, all right, making her closing arguments. And then the most random shit happens, all right? What's the woman's name? Kitiana? Or no, not Kitiana, Titania. Just bust through the courtroom. I'm just like, just bust through the walls. And it's just like, okay. I mean, well, and then the sorriest fight I've ever seen comes right after that.
Right, super rushed. right? Like
Yeah.
you couldn't even enjoy it. You know, it's like you got to the climax of the show and it was like over in like 2 seconds. Like now I know how women feel all the time.
Exactly. So you just like, it's like, hold on, what was that it? I mean, that's all. I was just like, okay, so she threw the bench. Jennifer Walters catch the bench, and then I don't know what that slow motion kick was. Why was it in slow motion? I mean, that's what I want to know. I mean, she just like flies through the air like she's Liu Kang. You know what I'm saying? On Mortal Kombat, it's just like it's just one punch, and then she's down. I'm like, is this chick not strong or not? I mean, I don't know. She busted through the courtroom wall, picked up a bench, chunked it, just one punch, and that's it. I was like, okay, this is they don't do a good job on a lot of these shows that they got of actually having good, memorable fights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, that could have caught your attention if they prolonged that out to 3-4 minute fight. It ain't even got to be 10 minutes. A 3-4 minute fight where they're going back and forth. You see some real destruction in the courtroom. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Jennifer Walters has to save her friend, something like that. Get a little bit more emotional ties in there. You know what I'm saying? Grabs a hostage or something like that. But that was completely missing. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, I completely agree with you. The big takeaway, which is the theme throughout the entire first episode, like why couldn't they could have made the first episode an hour, right? Make the first episode an hour to kick the thing off, and then go to a half an hour after that. And then if they were to spread this show out over a half an hour, do some more storyline building, more character development, it might have been palatable. But yeah, to have it, see, it's weird because normally you have like movies flow always the same thing, right? You have your like introduction, your character development, you have some plot development, you have the climax of the movie, you have a conflict, and then you have conflict resolution, and then the thing is over. They're like rewriting the rule book on this, right? So that episode demonstrated none of that. None of that.
Right.
That's like the climax should have been her fighting in the courtroom, but it wasn't. There's not much else to say about it. It was like the fight was like an afterthought, like, see what she can do? Like, that's kind of like the feeling I got from it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So that closed up episode 1. Now we move over into episode 2. And episode 2, right out the gate, she gets fired.
Let me ask you a question. Did we really need an episode 2? I don't think we did.
Well, this is going to be 9 episodes from what I understand. That's I believe that's the way to do it when they do it in the 30 minutes. In the 30-minute range, it's usually the 9 episodes.
All right.
So, of course, she immediately goes, they're having, they declare a mistrial, all right, because she turned into, She-Hulk and saved everybody at the courtroom. So that's a mistrial because, of course, with her saving the juror's life, they would be, their ruling might be skewed.
Mm-hmm.
So mistrial. So she goes to the bar. They're congratulating her. Her boss comes and immediately fires her. All right. So this is a level of discrimination. They got to throw discrimination in the show. Not only is she a woman, but she's also a Hulk. So discrimination right out the gate, right there.
Yes. I thought it was rather interesting because these woke tards who make this kind of content, they contradict themselves like a bunch of hypocrites in everything they do. And I didn't think this was any different. So I'm going to make an analogy here. To me, I saw them hiring her back as this like Hulk freaking lawyer, right? Mm-hmm. To me, it seemed kind of like the equivalent of you got a lawyer and then it turns out she's a stripper on the side, right?
Yeah.
So
she got OnlyFans.
Right. So they fire her. And then they decide to bring her back to handle the OnlyFans division.
Yeah,
right?
There you go. Hey, that's not a bad idea.
So I thought it was insulting to women, right. to have it go that way. Oh, we don't want you because you're good at what you do and you're a woman. We want you here because you got this trait. They might as well have hired her because she had big tits. I mean, seriously, it is ridiculous. And why do you need a superhero who's not a superhero to be a superhero lawyer? Wouldn't it look better in like a court of law, unbiased, if they had like human lawyer, right? If you're going to be defending these people, like I swear to God,
Right.
these writers, these fucking writers. Okay, this is how this show came about. Let me tell it to you. The executive producer and the writer were out having drinks, and they're hammered. And the executive producer looks at the writer and goes, "You got to write me a script for She-Hulk, and I need it in 5 minutes. And if you don't have it in 5 minutes, your career's over." And that's how the show came about. Really, I mean,
that's it. That's it to a T. That's a guy. I mean, let's cut to the end. I mean, I can believe that. Of course, the person that she was trying to put in jail is the one that gives her the job, and it's probably you probably got a brow raise because he's probably a bad dude. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Holden Holloway, he's a bad dude. They incorporate her in the superhuman law division. Of course, she's got to be the She-Hulk when she's there, a.k.a. it's like, hey, if you come work for me, the only thing you can wear is short dresses. You know what I'm saying? Like short skirts.
It's like having,
it's just like
it's like having the one black guy in the office.
Yeah. Hey, affirmative hire. You know what I'm saying? We got one here. Now, hey, good thing for her, she took her friend with her, okay? So, hey.
Yeah, at least there's some loyalty.
Hey, there's a little bit of loyalty there. Dennis got left behind because he's an asshole. Let's everybody. Dennis is the asshole. He's the misogynist of the show, pretty much.
Let me tell you something. I was a little offended by was some stereotyping going on when they're all at dinner, right? So she walks into the house, and who was it? Like her cousin or something? Who's like, "Oh, you got fired. I told you not to say that." And then he's like, "I just got promoted as manager at Best Buy."
Yes.
Like, how many thousands of people did they just insult by associating this stoner stereotype guy as having a life achievement of becoming a manager of a Best Buy? Like, you're just insulting your fucking audience here. Like, I swear to God, these people don't think anything through before they put it on fucking film.
Exactly. I mean, that's it to a T. I mean, it's just, but there's so many aspects of these shows that could be great. But I see it's like there's a whole lot of time. If people watch anime before, like you'll have a whole lot of great episodes. Then all of a sudden there's 5 straight episodes of filler. You're like, what am I watching? You know what I'm saying? I'm no longer watching the show I thought. So like these shows could be so much better if they would skip some of the filler. You can sprinkle some in, but it just seems like there's just a whole lot of filler. Like her going back home, sitting around the dinner table. It's just like, man, I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? Give me something else. Like we want to start seeing, and I know it's early, but we want to start seeing a tangible villain and things of that nature. Because I mean, the show's got to have some type of structure that way. You want to see your protagonist, your antagonist, and you want to see the clash in between.
Right. It needs to follow the typical script of like, I'm a Trekkie. Even though the current Star Treks are just as bad as She-Hulk, I still watch them because it's in my blood. But when you really come to understand these shows, they have an overarching theme, right? This is the long plot, right? Like I'm watching Star Trek Voyager. The plot is they got to get from the Delta Quadrant to Earth. It's going to take 70 years, right? So that's the big plot. And then that gives them, and that stretches throughout the entire show. And then each individual episode, they come across different bits of adversity, right? They come across challenges to overcome, and they're exciting, right? So you can have a show like that with a limited lifespan of 5-6 years where you complete one overarching mission with all these little things in the middle. But I have a feeling that these clowns aren't going to do that. They're not smart enough to do that. They haven't watched enough television. I bet you there are a bunch of 20-year-old wokesters who are behind the production and writing of this thing. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Television at its peak, I don't even know when television peaked. It had to have been in the 90s, right before the internet really got big. But they should go back to that era and just copy paste the formulas. Really, that's what television is. It's a formula and nothing more. And it seems like they're trying to come up with new. I would say they're coming up with a new formula, but I don't think they're smart enough to come up with new formulas. They're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what's sticking.
Well, I think the issue is like the first thing, like if you go and you look up this show on IMDb, the main thing it says in it is comedy, and like at no time am I really laughing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like if this is comedy, then I mean we need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I feel like I get the urge to chuckle, but then I don't. Right? Like that's the kind of show it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you might have your moments where, like when they were getting drunk, and then she changes back to her regular self, and of course her metabolism drops out, so she just drunk like 80 bottles of alcohol, which would technically kill her, I guess.
Oh yeah, so being a Hulk, she won't get drunk, right? Is that how that goes?
But once she changes back,
she's hammered.
She will feel the effects of everything she drank, and that's what happens. Which, I know it's a little mind-boggling. You're like, okay, I thought your body would have metabolized it, but
your body should have metabolized it.
Yeah, when she switches back, that's when she gets piss drunk. All right, so that's when she gets.
Maybe their writers should get like a lecture from like a biologist or something. Maybe they should call in some like experts. Back in the day when they made movies and expensive TV shows, they would call in these unique experts to come in and train on just one little thing. But they're not doing that anymore. They're like, we got this.
Yeah, exactly.
We got a shoestring budget and 5 minutes to come up with a script, so let's do it.
5 minutes. And what do we think about? Is the CGI okay? CGI it's decent enough, I guess.
It's decent enough. I can live with it.
Yeah, it's decent. I know there's a lot of people who talk about the CGI and all that. I'm just like, it's not the worst thing I've seen. I mean, when you see like B movies, B-C movies, that's when you get bad CGI. Where it's like you're like, damn. I mean, it's like an explosion that somebody like copied and pasted and like drew lines around and put it in a scene. So it's not like that. But I know they said they had a whole lot of rumblings about the artists and stuff being overworked at Marvel because they're doing so many shows and movies and things of that nature. So from there, of course, she gets her first gig, and her first gig is Blonsky, Abomination. All right, so that's the first gig. One who tried to kill her cousin, Abomination, and he's neutered now. Okay, he's completely neutered. All right, he's just chilling in a seat,
writing haikus.
Writing love poems. I mean, to his seven friends. I've heard some people say something about the Thunderbolts and all that stuff. Man, I just tell people, don't get your hopes up, okay? Don't get your hopes up for something cohesive that you've seen in the actual comic books. I've learned that from watching other people that know a lot about comics that they're almost completely separating those two. So don't get too hyped up for something like that. But Abomination is just like, they probably should name him something else. Okay, they probably should give him a softer name because it doesn't seem very abominable right now. I mean, what do you think on that?
I agree. Of all the characters to bring back into the fold, like how did they decide on that one? What's that guy's name again? Timothy something? The actor's name?
I don't know. I don't know his real name.
He's not hard up for a role. I mean, he's been around forever, and he's not hard up for money. He's not hard up for a role. Why would he volunteer to do this show? See, this is so weird because the show is going to flop. It ain't going to get a second season, and everybody associated with it is going to fucking be blacklisted from goddamn Hollywood because it's so bad. No one's going to want to hire him. So when I look at like the Hulk character, like I thought that he would be in the first episode and we'd never see him again.
Right.
Because that guy gets $25 million a picture. Okay. So, what's he doing this at cost? I mean, there's no reason for him to be in this thing. It doesn't benefit him at all. It was probably a contractual obligation that when he does the movies, if we come up with something with the Hulk, you have to do it. It's probably something along those lines. But, so Anybody who appears on this show, I just don't have a good feeling about. They're not going to last. And I feel bad for her. Like, she's weird. Sometimes I look at her and she's cute, and sometimes she's not cute. I haven't been able to figure it out yet. I think she's cuter I think she's cuter in Hulk form.
She's probably a like a solid 4. I mean, I just got to be honest. She's like 10? A solid 4. Yeah,
well, I'd give her a 6.5. I'd give her for sure.
No, but
like I'd hit it without getting drunk first.
Yeah, but you see, 8, 9, and 10, that's like supermodel status. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's yeah, you know what I'm saying? 8, 9, 10.
Well, I'd give her above a 5 because the picture like a tipping scale. Okay. Like she's on the cuter side of the scale, so I'd give her over a 5. Like
just depending on how her hair is.
5, I think, is how I'd narrow it down to.
Okay, all right.
Oh, I think that we are insulting the feminists out there because we're just up here judging her on her looks. X cubed.
We are men, ain't we?
Yes. And honestly, if we didn't do this,
something would be wrong with us.
Something fucking wrong.
Yeah, something would be wrong with us. There's no doubt about it. So Blonsky, all right. So she's in there. She's speaking to him. She's got a moral dilemma. Okay, this is a moral dilemma. You're looking at somebody who tried to kill your cousin. And golly, when did that original movie come out?
20 years ago? It had to have been 20 years ago.
I mean, it's like a really long time ago. So, of course, he's reformed. That's her first case. If she doesn't take the case, she's fired.
Then let me comment on that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, besides being hired, not because of her greatness as a woman, but because of her attribute, on top of that, she has to bow down to a man who's giving her orders or she's going to fire. That's coercion, right? So she's being hired because of her green skin, an affirmative action hire for sure. And then she's forced to do the man's bidding. Like, where are your feminine values now or feminist values now? Really? They just threw all the shit right out the window. This goes back to they're all being fucking bunch of hypocrites.
Oh, yeah. Threw it immediately out the window. Of course, she calls Bruce. And this is where we see Bruce, and I believe that from here on out, he won't be in the show because we've seen him on the Sicarian ship, and I don't know how he got on the Sicarian ship. It looks like he's flying the Sicarian ship, and he's just like taking off. He said, "Oh, I got some shit to do," AKA they spend enough money on me. That's what that means. Okay, it said the budget is reached on me, so I'm gone now. All right. They're going to tie this in. I've seen people say something about World War Hulk and all this. I'm like, is that going to happen? I don't know. Okay. We're uncertain about that. So we see him take off. Bruce gives Jen his blessing, all right, to take the case on. And so she calls up and does. Now, immediately after that, it gets a direct tie-in to Shang-Chi. You can't say Shang-Chi. That's like to Blunkin or country or whatever. So Shang-Chi. So the question is now.
Is that the guy with the rings?
Yeah. So the question is now, and it's showing where he's escaped out of prison. We know Wong has been taking him out of prison and training with him from the Shang-Chi movie. How often was that happening? And is this particular episodes, is it happening at the same time as the Shang-Chi?
Is the Shang-Chi?
It looks like it.
Is he got his own show?
No, he's just got the one movie. That's it.
The one movie. Okay.
Yeah.
So that movie was terrible.
That movie was last year.
That movie was awful last year. So you got two just atrocious franchises that I really don't think anybody gives a shit about. And to me, you know what? The first thing it strikes me as, if they're going to be putting these two together, it reminds me of Goober Grape. Do you know what that is? The peanut butter and jelly in the same jar. You ever seen that?
Okay. I hadn't seen that, but it sounds atrocious.
No, you got to go find it next time you go to the grocery store. So it's the worst freaking peanut butter you'll ever have, and it's just a horrible loose jelly. But when you put them together, there's something magical about it. I don't know. I eat that stuff straight out the freaking jar. Okay, so maybe they're trying to do something like that, hoping like two wrongs make a right. Who knows? But I think it. Uh, I'm predicting an epic fail.
An epic fail.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm predicting. So, of course, this makes her job harder for episode 3 because now it's showing Abomination in the Fight Club. So I'm not sure where this is going to take us next. They have these little clippets at the end of the of each episode, and I assume they're supposed to be funny. On the second episode, the clip at the end is Jennifer Walters carrying bottles of like big tubs of water into her father's house. So it's just like, I don't know. I think these are supposed to be comical moments that don't really add to the plot at all.
Right.
And it just seems more like this whole show is like supposed to be a joke. Like at any point in time, do you, and maybe to change as we go along, okay? But at any point in time, do you feel like Jennifer Walters is going to like actually like protect anybody or defeat a villain? Like it didn't really seem like it. It doesn't seem like it's moving that way.
Here's one potential path they could go down. She ends up. Writers of the show, take notes, please. I think at some point what's going to happen is she's going to be doing her lawyer thing, walking down the street with her briefcase and her little, woman's business suit with the skirt, and something's going to happen, a carjacking or a bank robbery or some crap like that, and she's going to get in there and she's going to kick some ass, and she's going to be like, I kind of like that. And then she's going to start to go out and do hero stuff, start to like the hero stuff more, and it's going to come in direct conflict with her being the attorney at law.
The lawyer, okay.
That's going to cause a show, point of conflict to overcome. That will be the conflict that needs to be resolved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she has to stay the lawyer, or else it ain't attorney at law anymore, right? So we can kind of shot themselves in the foot right there. If they just called it She-Hulk, they could have done a whole lot more with it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but do we think there's going to be an overarching villain of this? Usually you would have some type of indication on all the shows that had some type of indication of some overarching villain.
Well, here you go.
At the beginning of it.
Here we go. Take some more notes, writers. Basically, what I can see as a possibility is she defends what's his name in court. He gets, what's his name? Avalanche.
Oh no, Abomination.
There, I knew it started with an A. So they go to court. She defends him in court. He gets released, right? He petitions for release. He gets his release, and then he becomes the bad guy. And then she has the inner struggle because she's the one that set him free, and now she has to make it right. That I could totally see as being I would might even think about watching that plot line. But if we're not going to be reviewing future episodes, I'm not going to be watching them. So it all depends.
Oh, we will be. We will be.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, we'll be reviewing future episodes, no doubt about it. Yeah, so that wraps up the episode 2. I kind of don't. I try not to watch the trailers. I see, so I'm just like totally shocked when I go into the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not shocked, but just not knowing what's going on. No overview and plot. Of course, we've seen throughout some of the trailers, looks like she's going to be getting out in a glittery dress on a red carpet. I just, some of this stuff I'm just like, where exactly is it taking us? So that's going to be something to look out for, and how this is going to tie overall into the cinematic universe, because they have tried to incorporate this stuff throughout through the TV shows into the actual cinematic universe. So that's going to be interesting to see if this is able to take off in any type of meaningful way,
mm-hmm.
that will push the MCU along. I would probably say, because I want to do an episode with us actually going through each of the shows after this one's over. That means I'm going to have to watch Miss Marvel. Hot damn.
Oh,
I didn't want to. Yeah, but I want us to kind of rank them.
Like that one
so we can go through.
That one I knew was woke garbage just from reading the description of the show. When you read the description of the show, the opening sentence is, I don't even know her name. It says, so-and-so is a Pakistani American teenager. And at that point, I said, go fuck yourself. I'm not going to watch it. So
now you're going to have to watch it because we're going to have to rank the episodes. I mean,
yes,
we have to rank
know.
the shows.
I know.
Yeah, hey, look, man. I've been on every single one of these. All right. I've watched them the minute they came out. But for some reason, when I seen Miss Marvel, I was just like, man, there's something about this show doesn't even seem like it's going to be watchable, period.
So they have Captain Marvel, and they kept calling her Marvel, right? Like,
yeah, Marvel, yeah.
Captain Marvel. And so now we have is it Miss? Is it Ms.?
Yeah, Miss. Well, it's just Miss.
Is it MS?
Yeah, MS.
It's not MZ?
No, it's MS.
Okay.
Miss.
Okay, if
Miss
that's the case,
Marvel.
why didn't they use their woke pronouns?
I don't know, man.
I'm offended that they're not even sticking to their guns. Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
When you have an adversary, you want them to be strong, right? Like, it's no fun, like, making fun of a retarded kid.
Okay, yeah, there's no doubt about that. So that's going to wrap up this first week's break. Well, our first go around on the breakdown. We did 2 episodes in one. So this one went just a touch long, but that's all good. Obviously, it was about 20 minutes per episode. So that'd be right around that time frame. I plan on trying to do these on Friday night, Corey. This one I plan on trying to do them. Episode comes out Thursday.
What time on Fridays?
It'd be late.
Okay, so
late.
I'm gonna put some of my nerdness on display here. On Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, I raid with my Elder Scrolls Online guild. So Elder Scrolls Online is like the new World of Warcraft, which I played for 10 years. And
okay.
It's like massive multiplayer online, right? And like we do these big raids where we bring in 12 people. It takes 12 people to conquer, the dungeon that we're in or the trial that we're in. And so I raid on Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. Actually, I canceled tonight to do the show. So, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll work it out.
We'll work it out. I'm cool with late. Yeah. But yeah. So, yeah, anybody out there playing Elder Scrolls, you can hit me up on Elder Scrolls. My name is a Master Vapor. So.
Okay, hell of a name. Well, this is your boy XQ420 with Corey Hughes. Hope y'all enjoyed the episode. We will catch y'all next week.
See y'all.
Peace out.